And welcome to the Township of Whitewater Region's regular council meeting for Wednesday, January 14th, and it is 3:03 p.m. And anybody watching, I just want to thank you for your patience. It's been a very, very full day with a budget committee meeting to lead up to this council meeting, and therefore the 2-hour delay. And with that, we're gonna jump right into it. The first on our agenda is our national anthem, so if you could stand, please, and face the flag. And next is our land acknowledgement. Councillor White, please.
As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Township of Whitewater Region and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of Indigenous people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years.
Thanks, Councillor White. And the next item is the adoption of the agenda. The recommendation is the Council of Township Whitewater Region approve the January 14th, 2026 agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Moore. Just before I open it up to Council for any changes or amendments, I'm just going to recognize that it is, as written, is going to be a little bit out of order. Item 6.1, I'll just highlight. 6.1 is our public meeting specific to 2 zoning amendments, and that public meeting will begin at 4:45 p.m. So wherever we are at, we will either come back to that 6.1 or we'll interrupt where we're at and go to that 6.1 at 4:45 p.m. And then you will see in the reports section 9.1 and 9.2, these are the actual resolutions, is that right, clerk? Resolutions? These are the 2 resolutions that are specific to that public meeting. We can't hear those recommendations until after the public meeting. We've had the opportunity to receive public input. So 9.1 and 9.2 will follow the public meeting at 4:45 p.m. So you can see the agenda we may be going back and forth, but that's the intent, is just to make sure, again, it really comes back to, we want to make sure that the public has as much opportunity to attend. Therefore, public meetings are 4:45, and the resolutions, as a result, will have to follow afterwards. Good. With all that being said, Clerk, there wasn't anything else I missed? No, I don't believe so. Good. Any changes or amendments that the council would like to make to the agenda as presented? Good, I see none. Then we will call for the vote. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you, folks. The next is the adoption of the minutes. We have a number of minutes here. Minutes from December 3rd, December 8th, and December 11th. 2 special council meetings and a regular council meeting. The recommendation is that the Council of Township Whitewater Region approve the regular minutes of December 3rd, 2025, the special regular minutes of December 8th, 2025, and the special closed session of December 11th, 2025, understanding that they remain confidential. The closed session minutes. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Bell. Any errors, omissions? Again, If it's anything to do with the closed portion, we'll have to go into closed in order to hear those. Good, I see none. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. I note that there are a number of committees and boards minutes that are attached to the agenda for your information and for the public's information. The first two are budget committee meetings from December 8th and 11th. The second is the Muskrat Watershed Council minutes from November 2025, and I'll turn to the council lead for Muskrat Watershed. Is there anything you want to add or highlight?
Nothing to highlight. I just want to let people know, if you want to attend one of our Muskrat Watershed Council meetings, the next one is January 15th, but none of them, all of our meetings are now online due to weather. We can never tell if it's going to be good weather or bad. So, and we come from a large area. So we have opted to go through online meetings only. So you can contact me, or if you know a member of the Muskrat Watershed Council, you can contact them for the information. But the next meeting is Thursday, January 15th at 6:30 p.m.
Excellent, thank you so much. Next item on our agenda is disclosures of interest. Is there any disclosures that any member of council has to make as a result of any of the items on the agenda? Good, I see none. So that would lead us into 6, which is the presentations. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to jump 6.1 and come back to it at 4:45. So that leads me into the mayor's address, which is item number 7. And I emailed it to myself again. I've received a lot of emails since this morning. Okay, that's going to be interesting later. Okay, so welcome back to the council chambers, even though you've already been here for 3 hours and 10 minutes. I hope everyone enjoyed their holiday season, and a happy new year to all. It's been 5 weeks since our last regular council meeting. And regular scheduled council meeting. And while we've had a couple special meetings and budget committee meetings during the time, this is really the first formal mayor's address that I've been able to provide for a while. First item I wanted to talk about was just upcoming conference and the delegations. This weekend, from Sunday to Tuesday, 4 members of council will be attending the Rural Ontario Municipal Conference, and Councillor White, myself, Councillor Olmstead, and Councillor Trim. And we have several important delegations that have been scheduled by our CAO. The first one is with the Solicitor General. Here we'll discuss the affordability of the rising OPP policing costs and their impact on municipal budgets, even with the 11% annual increase cap that the Solicitor General has placed on the OPP budget. The pressure will remain significant to Whitewater Region, and this meeting is going to include 7 mayors that are served by the Renfrew OPP detachment. So you can imagine this is going to be a very fun meeting with 7 very speakative people. But we're going to have at it with the Solicitor General to make sure that he understands the impact that the OPP budget is having on rural communities. The second one is the Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. And here we're advocating to support the support for marketing the former Timinco mine, the mine site, and the lands that we're proposing for Class 3 industrial park. The third one is with Ministry of Health. And here we were very fortunate to be able to receive an opportunity to request increased support for ConnectWell. ConnectWell is our primary care provider here within our township to improve access to primary care in Whitewater Region. And this is specifically with respect to infrastructure. The next one is Ministry of Infrastructure. I mentioned it in the committee meeting. I think this is our 7th delegation this term. And here we're continuing to push for funding for rural water and wastewater systems and asset management in general. The last one is Ministry of Transportation. Here we'll be addressing safety concerns on Highway 17 from Cobden all the way through to CNL. We'll be joined with Pembroke and Petawawa mayors to emphasize the urgency. And just as an example, traffic through Cobden now exceeds 12,000 vehicles a day. And with projected increases, that is only going to continue to rise. So those are the upcoming delegations that we have booked at Roma. I'd also want to recognize some community recognition that we will be receiving. I'm pleased to share that the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility, Minister Cho, will officially recognize Whitewater Region as an Ontario age-friendly community on January 18th. So I believe that's Sunday evening as part of the conference. This is a tremendous achievement that will be recognized amongst a small group of other municipalities across the province. And I just want to make sure that we publicly acknowledge at this point the dedication of our volunteers, our staff, who have been managing this on the sides of their desk, and council. And we look forward to being able to celebrate this milestone upon our return. I'm looking at Councillor Trim about that one, so we'll come back to him. The next one is the budget and financial planning. So today we've been reviewing the 2026 budget. While progress has been made on the 5-year capital forecast, a number of challenges remain. We simply cannot raise taxes to cover the costs of maintaining all of our existing assets. We will continue budget committee work as an essential task to prioritize projects and develop a sustainable capital plan. And in the weeks ahead, Council will be reviewing service levels for our asset management plan. We also are expected to receive the Transportation Master Plan, which is going to be an interesting document. I received the one from County. It is literally 4 inches thick with the appendixes. It is an incredible document. We'll see how good it is. These two, the asset management plan, the transportation master plan, are critical projects that are going to shape our future, and it's going to be a busy winter and spring. So I look forward to working through these priorities together. And that ends my mayor's report. Any comments or questions from members of council? Good. And I don't know if our ceremony is going to be on Facebook. Maybe we'll have to Facebook Live it when we're there.
We could attempt that, yes, absolutely, yeah. We'll organize at least some pictures for sure. Thanks.
Excellent,
yeah.
Good. Good, next is public comments, and I'll just ask the clerk, did we receive any public comments about anything on the agenda? No. Excellent, good. Next is the reports, and as I mentioned earlier, 9.1 and 9.2 are related to the public meeting, so we're going to skip those two for now, and we'll jump into 9.3, which is the library board appointments update. The recommendation to council is that the council of the Township Whitewater Region enact a bylaw to update the members of the Whitewater Region Public Library Board. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Moore. This is going to CAO or Manager Community Services?
No, I'll go ahead and speak to it. In the absence of our clerk, I'll have to present a few of the reports tonight. This is a pretty straightforward report for members of council. The library board appointment is a report you've seen numerous times in the last number of years. Essentially, the intent of this report is to remove a member, a no longer serving member. Jamal is the gentleman's name. So we'll be removing him from the bylaw as the appointment bylaw. So who will stand is Monica Lagrada, Angela Butterworth, Jim Butterworth, Sarah Lowe, and Mary Clark, and then Councillor Connie White serves as our council member board. Mistake in the report, Tabbert, but White will get corrected. So that's essentially all it is a revised bylaw to remove that appointee. That's it. Thanks so much.
Excellent. Thank you, CAO. I'll go to my mover first, Councillor White.
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Councillor Moore.
Yeah, just one question. So the way I read this, they're only going to update their membership on council elections, or I didn't see anything in this time where they were bringing somebody on board, so they're going to work with what they have until the next election and then try and bring more members on?
Yeah, so they actually had an exceedance they were greater than the minimum number. So right now, the threshold of minimum number of members, they're meeting that requirement, so they're not going to pursue the recruitment of another member at this point in time. The term of the library board aligns with the term of council, so it continues beyond the election, but until we could recruit new members of the same members. So no additional recruitment between now and the election, and then we'll look at that as following the election.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of council? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? It's carried, unanimous, thank you. Next is 9.4. This is the Emergency Management Annual Program Review. The recommendation of the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region receive this report for information purposes as it pertains to the Annual Emergency Management Review 2025 and approve amendments to the Emergency Response Plan and attachments. Mover, please. Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Trim. Back to our CAO.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So the CEMC, the Community Emergency Management Coordinator, being our clerk, she also serves as the CEMC for the township. Their role and responsibility is to facilitate and implement a wide variety of initiatives and ongoing activities to strengthen our emergency management program and preparedness. One of those initiatives includes our emergency management plan, and that emergency management plan is a legislated document that we need to prepare and review annually and send it back up to the province and to the Office of the Fire Marshal. We do that annually as they do audits on all municipal emergency management programs in Ontario. So they audit these things. So these are requirements from the province. We establish CMC, the programs, the plans, and we send it back up as annual audits. And I guess we spoke about weather, how it's impacting our roads. I mean, weather, climate, I would say the weather is having effects on our ability to manage different incidents. I will note the annual statement of compliance must be submitted by the CEMC, declaring that the municipality has met all of our annual requirements, and that has already occurred. And the intent and purpose of this report is to receive for information purposes, together with approving amendments to our emergency management plan. So that long document attached to the report is the emergency management plan. And it's together with the bylaw at the end of in the bylaw section of the agenda. So just highlighting a few more things. So when we talk about emergency management for a municipality, there's sort of two groups. Our Municipal Emergency Control Group, and they are responsible for the direction and control of emergency response during an incident, the MECG. That's one group. Incident happens, we activate the MECG, and then they sort of manage the incident and the response to the emergency. And then we also have the Municipal Emergency Program Committee, and that committee is different than the MECG, MEPC. They guide and oversee the development, implementation of the township's emergency management program. So the committee has reviewed the changes to the emergency management plan together with the additional cyber incident emergency plan and the HIRA, HIRA, what does that mean again? In any case, the HIRA, it reviews critical infrastructure, an evaluation of different emergencies that may happen. In any case, so the committee together with the control group have reviewed these documents, and they're essentially accepting the changes and sort of recommending to council the approval. The last thing to note here is that annually, as part of this requirement from the province, we have to hold a tabletop exercise to make sure that all of our positions are ready to respond to emergencies. So that was held on October 23rd, and it was done in collaboration with the County of Renfrew. It was a county-wide communication outage. It was a tabletop exercise, so we responded quite well to that. There was a debrief after, and we're working with the county and everybody on that. So we've met our compliance requirements, and we're just proposing some additional appendices to the emergency response plan, and that's for members of council to consider. HIRA means exactly what, Mayor? Because I've seen you typing.
Hazard identification and risk assessment. Good, thank you, CAO. That is a very long attachment. Councillor White is our council lead and chairs and I've lost the name already because I flipped over, Municipal Emergency Program Committee. So she has taken the lead as part of this with the staff to propose these amendments. to our policies. So with that, I'm going to go to her as our mover first. Is there any comments or anything you want to add to the discussion?
If anyone wants to read the document and provide any updates, sure, go ahead. We appreciate it. But Carmen, who does who's our the clerk, but she's
CEMC?
sure. Anyway, she's a CMC. She's very good at what she does, and she's. I would never have thought of updating the cyber incident, but it happened, and so now we've got that. So, but yeah, go read the document and give us a hand.
Seconder is Councillor Trim. Perfect. Good.
I won't claim to have read all 180 pages, but I did skim through it, and I noticed just some anomalies on page 36 and 37, where it says, error bookmark not defined. I don't know if that's just a program thing or what. But anyway, it's just a note. I don't know what it means.
Perfect. They're clerical.
Yeah,
It's,
absolutely, yeah. Clerical
Oh.
issues, we'll get them corrected.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Any other questions or feedback on this? I'll just stress from, I have somebody invading the CEO's office right now. I can hear them in there. The importance of these policies are there. Yeah, you step out. Good. These policies are important. If there is an emergency and I get hit by a bus, the other staff are hit by the bus, and the next person, the deputy mayor in this situation, would have to step in, the policy is what guides you. You flip it open, you don't go to page 34, you go to page 1. And it'll tell you, these are decisions you need to start to make. And it's supposed to be able to, the policy is supposed to give us that guiding so that you don't have to worry about it and know everything. Carmen and Councillor White do all the work up front to make sure that that's produced. We approve it, but that's why the policy exists. Good. No other comments from council? Okay, with that, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Good. You shouldn't have let Manager of Public Works off the hook here. Okay, should have asked him a whole bunch of questions. Good. The next item is 9.5, the procedural bylaw amendments. And just to note, this is the one that has been carried forward since our discussion in November. The recommendation is that Council of the Township of Whitewater Region pass a bylaw to amend the procedural bylaw to reflect changes including definitions, orders of business, and regular meeting times. Mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor, a seconder is going to be Councillor White. Back to the CAO.
Yeah, thanks so much. So as the mayor has noted, that this is the procedural bylaw that has been presented to council, I think about 4 times. This will be the 4th time, perhaps. The delegation of authority bylaw, together with the procurement policy bylaw, were both adopted. I think it was in December, the early meeting in December. What was the outstanding item was this procedural bylaw, and ultimately the reason why it was taken back to staff and now returned back to council is there was some housekeeping changes that needed to be reflected. So I think there was like a couple provisions that for some reason got pulled out, but now the version that's before you is the clean final version. I believe the highlighted changes are in the one that's attached to your report, and then the bylaw has the non-highlighted one. Maybe it is still highlighted, I'm not sure, but this is the final version for your consideration. Thanks so much.
Excellent, thanks CAO, and I'll go to Deputy Mayor first.
Thank you. Yeah, I've perused this so many times. I'm in favor of, ready to move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor White.
No, nothing to add.
Excellent. You were the one who caught the mistakes before, so I'm glad to see that they have been corrected to your satisfaction. Good. Any other feedback from members of council? Councillor Moore.
Does someone refresh my memory? This will take effect at the signing of this, if we agree to it tonight? Meaning the next meeting will be at 1 p.m. instead of 4:45?
CAO?
Yeah, that's correct. So the proposed changes to the procedural bylaw before council right now has all of the meetings commencing at 1 PM. Yes. I mean, the next meeting is a first meeting of the month, which would have been at 1 PM anyway, but they'll all be starting at 1 PM, correct?
Okay, so could that be discussed then on the agenda at the next meeting so that people watching know that the second meeting of the month isn't at 4:45?
Good, yeah, we'll put a reminder in it.
Yeah, I think we have a current going out as well, so the current could also identify that change, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Good, thank you, Councillor Moore. Any other comments? Good, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next is 9.6, a sale of land for an unopened road allowance on Collunge Lake. Recommendation, the Council of Township Whitewater Region 1, declare the property legally described as road allowance between Concession North Front D and Concession 1 Collunge Lake Front, Westmeath, Part 3 of Plan 49R 21007, surplus to the township's needs, and authorize its sale to Paul Gerva for the purposes of lot addition. And 2, enact a bylaw for the purposes of stopping up and closing the road allowance pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001 C25. Moved by Councillor Trim, seconded by Councillor Moore. Manager Public Works or CAO? Manager Public Works.
I'll go ahead and present it, it's fine. Thanks. I'll go through a bit of the text part, but if I'll ask the acting clerk if you could move to slide 2, or page 263 of your document, or click on the agenda package. Yeah, that'd be great. So essentially what this is that it's another portion of the unopened road allowance that we sold to a Mr. McBride a few months ago. He had purchased this unopened road allowance that is near La Collunge Lake Trail. When we did the surveying, we knew there was interest from an adjacent landowner, Mr. Gervais, Paul Gervais. So we also surveyed that same road allowance at the waterfront portion of his property. So we connected back with Mr. Gervais, and he continues to show interest, and he's requested that we proceed to council for approval. So the same terms apply to Mr. Gervais that applied to the neighbor. That being that they're prepared to pay a sales price of in this case, it's $5,514.50. It's a little bit larger than Mr. McBride's property, and we use Mr. McBride's property as the basis of the value per square meter or acre. So just over $5,500. Mr. Gervais will be responsible for a proportional share of the costing, so of the surveying rather, and he'll pay for his own legal. So the actual money generated will be $5,500 plus a portion of surveying, and he'll pay for his own legal. So staff are fully supportive of this, and we're prepared to move forward. And we're almost there, third page. Thanks, acting. There you go. So here you have it. Part 3 is the one in question. Part 2 is like a strip of land that we will retain because there's this block 23 that is owned by a corporation, and Mr. McBride's trying to purchase it. And if he purchases that block 23, that little strip, then he might approach us to buy part 2 to add to his land. And then part 1 is the property that we have already sold to Mr. McBride. In fact, the transfers occurred. We've received payment for it. So part 1's been sold to Mr. McBride. Part 2 is pending some matter on block 23, that strip. And then block 3 is the portion to Mr. Gervais. If this is approved, it probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, it'll be finalized. The only thing I would add is that we don't, we have in the budget under revenue, sale of land, and we collect that money and we put it in that budget line. I'm not, it goes against the operating cost, I think. Yeah, against operating, so that's kind of where the money will end up. Thanks.
Good, thank you, CAO. Mover was Councillor Trim.
Yes. We have also a policy that we do not sell road allowance leading to water. Now, this is a very big exception. If you can see in your mind's eye, this would be Nikolai Road, So it runs north from the Gore line to the Ottawa River. But before it gets right into the Ottawa River, it goes in and out of the water. And that's what's happening here. And so it's not useful. It's not like other road allowances going to water. This one goes in and out, and so it is a good, it's a good sale. It's not, it would never be useful to the council, to the township. And so, as the CAO has said, part one has been sold, and it ends up in the water, and part three is going to be sold after we approve, and it ends up in the water. Now, part two, I think, and the planner or CAO could correct me, I think it's been put there as access to the lots above in this map that you don't see, that don't have access to the water. And so I don't know if Mr. McBride is able to buy Block 23, that'd be fine. However, I think if he wants to buy Part 2 from us, we should offer half of Part 2 to Mr. Jerva, in fairness. He may not want it, but I think that should be offered. But anyway, that's all I have to offer on that. I think it's a very good, I moved it, and I'm going to be happy to vote in favor of this motion. Thank you.
And our seconder is Councillor Moore.
The last time we discussed this and there was a different map up, I understood the parameters of the said property, and I have no problems with the sale.
Perfect. Any other comments from members of council? Councillor White?
Just a question here, when I look at this, I see part 2, and then there's a block 24. How does that person get to block 24 if part 2 is sold?
I could provide some clarifications if
Yes,
you want.
please.
So is it block 24 or block 23? 23, okay.
No?
Oh, block 24 there. Yeah. Yeah, so block 24, it's the bigger part close to the Ottawa River there. Bottom left corner. If you look up on your screen, Councillor Trim, you'll be able to see it.
Essentially, it's shoreline.
Yeah, so the block 23, as it stands presently, is held by this corporation who also owns block 24. It's like the past owners, it's like an estate of the subdivision that was developed numbers of years ago. So 23 right now is a point of access to block 24 and to the water. But there's also another strip of land in the subdivision that also accesses block 24 and the beach and the water that residents are currently using. So, I mean, for the purposes of the discussion today, when we come back with the reference to part 2 and block 23 and we'll clarify that a bit more. But your question is, why would he buy part 3 if he has to go over block 24 to get to the water? Is that the question?
No, okay, so block 24 is owned by somebody. Part 2 is going to be owned by somebody. And how does the person in block 24 get to their property?
There's another point of access in the subdivision further down La Coulange. There's another strip of land somewhere else to get to block 24.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 accesses, and I think there's a willingness to sell one of the 2 accesses.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good. And we just note that when this comes back to council for discussion on 23, block 23, we'll just need a bigger map that kind of gives us a bigger picture. I think that'll be sufficient. But just to remind, we're focusing on part 3 for our decision today. Yeah, good. Any other questions from members of council? Okay, I see none, so I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor? And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item is 9.7. So this is the 2026 operating capital and user fee budget. The schedules to be added once finalized. Okay, we'll have to cover that point when we first, bring it up now.
Yeah, the schedules have been attached to the revised agenda, and they were attached to the original agenda as the bylaws. So it's all been updated on the website, and if you could access it through your iPad, it's there. Thanks.
Perfect. Okay, good. So the recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region support the recommendations from the Budget Committee as presented, receive the Mayor's 2026 operating capital and user fee budgets as finalized by the Budget Committee, And 3, enact bylaws to adopt the mayor's 2026 budget as presented. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councillor Bell. Good, and just who's going to speak to this? Treasurers? Just if you could lead with the language is being supported through the strong mayor's, we're meeting the legislative requirements through this language.
Sure. So this report just is to actually bring the budget into council. So through the strong mayor's powers, the mayor's budget is to be created. A little bit of a change here, the fact that we have a committee to do it, so council's already seen it. But this is the formal introduction to council. Council then has a period of 30 days to amend that bylaw or that proposed budget, bring amendments forward, and then try to pass those. And then the mayor has a period in order to veto those said changes, and we can go back and forth until it's finally approved and passed and when the budget is settled out. So the mayor has already, through his mayoral direction, shortened his veto period down to 10 days. Off the top of my head, 0 days, that's right, from 10 days. Thank you. So he's not going to veto. So now if there's any changes to be made by council, the period starts today. The proposed piece today is that we have brought forward the full agenda or the full package with a bylaw. So in being deemed adopted today by adopting the bylaw or approving the bylaw, it is then deemed approved by the mayor and adopted by council. So the 30 days is gone. There's no more room for amendments. All that it is finalized. Is the end of the process. The main part of the budget has not changed from the core elements of the Municipal Act, which is where the funds need to be generated and created to fund the operations of the township. So we still meet all those guidelines. It's just that new piece that was implemented in for the 2026 year with the strong mayor powers that created this change of how the process of the budget actually goes through. So the start of my report just talks about the same thing we've talked about before, which is a synopsis of the mayor's directions, the 4.2% overall for capital, overall upset limit of 7% for the entire budget, 3.4%. So we've settled it, it's set at 5.8% as current, as put by the committees. The committee, we met 3 times to deliberate the budget, then had a public meeting with the fourth meeting being today, prior to this meeting. So you'll see the following recommendations were developed so that the mayor 2026 budget for capital, operating, and user fees be presented and finalized by the budget committee. Amend and adopt and review the following policies, which was the reserve policy, debenture policy, tangible capital asset policy, investment policy, and surplus equipment disposal policy, and then continue the development of the 10-year capital plan based on funding for the 2026 asset management plan. I'm just bringing those back into this report, as this is the formal part where council can support those recommendations. So the engagement was through the senior management team and senior leadership team, which compiled the data and then presented to the budget committee. The details came from such things as the strategic plan, the strategic direction, our water wastewater study for 2025, the 2022 asset management plan, and then all of the building condition assessments that have been completed by the township. So the final number that the committee has had approved and recommended to council is 5.8% total levy increase, 1.6% for operating, net of growth, 4.2% for the general capital levy, 5% for water, and 4% for sanitary or wastewater. And then you'll note that the attached to the report is the schedules, but you've already been provided them as paper form attached to the bylaws. The Schedule A is your operating capital budget, which is the consolidated one. Then Schedule B is water, Schedule C is wastewater, and then Schedule D is the actual capital project listing, as well as where they're funded from, like their funding allocations, and indicating if it's debentures or unfunded or alike. Any questions?
Thank you, Treasurer. And I just want to thank staff for all the work that went into not just the budget part. We already talked about the budget committee, but just taking the new legislation with the strong mayor powers and ensuring that we could exercise the most democratic process we could think of, still abide by the legislation, but achieve as much interoperability amongst council members to come up with the best budget. So thank you for that. With that, I'll go to the deputy mayor first. Any comments on the proposed budget?
No, I think everything has been well covered, but I do want to add to you, Mayor, that you also have made a huge, a lot of work and effort went into this as well. So I do just want to publicly say that you have done an amazing job as well, and appreciate everything that you have done, and in favor of your mayor powers. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Bell. He is happy. Success. Good. Is there any other comments or questions from any other members of council? Okay. 3 hours and 10 minutes in a committee budget meeting. We obviously were successful. So, good. Any final comments from staff? With that, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? And it's carried. Thank you. Unanimous. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Good. Next item is notices of motion. And we have one notice on the agenda. Unfortunately, our Councillor Olmstead, it is a motion that's been proposed by Councillor Olmstead. He's not available today to do some other commitment. It came up unforecasted. So the clerk has advised me that we can just postpone that to the next agenda. No resolution or vote required. Good? Excellent. Next item, correspondence, number 11, requiring direction. We have none. Information items, we have 4. And we'll just highlight, we have a couple things that we want to talk about. First one is the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus newsletter. If there's any questions, it's good. This is different than the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus advocacy note that I sent you. So the advocacy note that they're advocating for at Roma, but this is just their December newsletter. The second one is the real estate market activity. Again, for your information, just to get an idea of days on the market, average sale prices, etc. C, which is the 2025 County Council Year in Review. This is a new initiative that the CAO, Craig Kelly, has done up. Think of it, think of what our CAO does on his quarterly reports back to council. Same idea, except the county did it as a whole year. So in there, very informative. If you have a chance or an interest level, get through it. The one that I will bring up to you that I'm proud of and will hopefully see ground cut next year is the new Whitewater paramedic base that'll be coming in. So the property has been transferred, so the new paramedic base, you should start to see construction as soon as the frost is out of the ground. And of course, the building permits are authorized by staff. But if there's any questions or any issues that you have going through that, please don't hesitate to bring them up to me. It is a lengthy document. I'm not going to go through it in detail. The last one is the EORN update, the Eastern Ontario Regional Network update. Now, I do have something I want to add, and I just asked for it to be put on the screen. So he's got, no, yeah, he put it up. Yeah. Can you blow it up? Enlarge? Yeah, enlarge, yeah. The next one down? Yeah. Okay. So EORN, which is the Eastern Ontario Regional Network, their mission in life for the last number of years has been to install cell towers to increase connectivity, cellular connectivity across Eastern Ontario. So they provided this map to us of exactly where the cell towers are in Whitewater region. And you can see there are 2, 4, 6, 8 towers. The orange ones are new. The 2 green ones were existing prior to the project. So all they did with the green ones is they updated those towers. They put updated hardware on the existing towers. The orange ones are all new builds. And at the time that they provided this update to me, there was 5 live. Those are the ones with the black around the orange star. And the last one to go live was the one, I want to say Kerr line and intersection of Kerr and Magnesium. And over the Christmas holidays, Kerr and Magnesium went live. So as of 2026, all 8 of our towers are now live and operating. And someone says to me, someone has said, they looked at the map and said, oh, what about the guys on the other side? There are towers in every municipality, they didn't include them in this map. The unique thing, and what you will get phone calls about, and I just want to reiterate it again for the public, because even Councillor White and I had a conversation already, these are Rogers towers with Rogers systems on it. They installed these with a $300 million grant. 150 of it, so $300 million was the cost to put all of the towers in across Eastern Ontario. 150 came from Rogers. 140 came from the provincial and federal governments, and then 10 came from the counties. So they are Rogers assets, which means they have Rogers systems on them. So if you've got a Bell or a Telus system, you're not going to get, they're like, these towers are like they don't exist, except for one purpose, and that's 911 access. Any tower of any system will take a 911 call. So in terms of emergency access in Whitewater, 100% there. You can dial 911 from wherever and you're going to hit one of these cell towers. But if you're not Rogers or one of Rogers' subsidiaries, I can't remember, Fido and Chatter, I think are the two, you can't use it for cell data. So residents will have the choice. They can either advocate to their own company and say, hey, you got to put a tower in my community, you got to put a system on the Rogers tower, or I'm switching providers, or they switch providers. That's how this is going to happen going forward. The agreements that were, as part of the EORN construction of these towers is, one, they will accept other businesses to put systems on their towers at a cost. And two, we also have the ability to put other assets on these towers. So county road network radio system, fire radio system, ambulance radio systems, they can all manage off of these towers. So it is a plus, and it's incredible to see this $300 million project finally come to fruition. I live at the very point where there was nothing before, so I'm very, very happy, as I expect most of my neighbors are. So good. Does anybody have any questions on that? Because you will get, as you know, people drive by the tower and get no bars, you're going to get a phone call. Councillor Trim?
I don't have a question, really, because I think this was all, you did a good job of explaining to us over time. And so, yes, there are questions in the community, but people are understanding what's happening now. But I have just an interesting thought, and that is, I'm wondering if these towers that we finally have gotten over many years, in some ways may be obsolete, because Rogers, and I know Bell is working on it too, satellite system for cell phones. So you don't need towers. So it's just interesting. I think that satellite system for cell phones would be more expensive initially. But recently, Rogers invited you to try it for a month for free. Using any phone, just use it. So, I mean, that's an interesting development, I think. But it's just a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Good. Councillor Moore.
I am on a sister company, Fido. Therefore, I receive a service. So I was quite excited to get 3 bars instead of none. And then as soon as I got 3 bars, I started getting the phone calls for me to upgrade. So, but I haven't. I'm quite happy with the service I have. But it just seems kind of funny that now, okay, the push has gone to something different. Thank you.
Good. Any other comments? I will highlight, there is actually a 9th tower in Whitewater region. There is a bell tower. And if you drive out past Olmstead's here, you'll see it. That is a bell tower. So Bell owns it and has other hardware on it supporting other systems. So we are well supported in this area for Bell as well. Good. Thank you so much for putting that up on the screen, Sean. Excellent. Next, we'll get into announcements. Deputy Mayor.
No, I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Good. Counselor Bell?
Nothing for me.
Counselor White? Any announcements?
We were just discussing who's going to talk about what. Yes, the Foresters Falls Winter Carnival is on the 24th of January, so don't forget about that. Mark your calendars. And the third annual chili contest is being hosted by the Beachburg Lions Club on Saturday, the 31st, from 4 to 7 p.m. And it's at the Beachburg Hall, not the Beachburg Lions Club. That's all I have.
Perfect. I'm going back and forth here. Council Moore?
Nothing, she took my thunder.
Okay. Counselor Trim?
Pub night in Westmeath, check the municipal calendar, this Friday. Yeah, I think it is Friday.
Yeah, 16th.
Yeah. Pub night with more than snacks. It's going to be real pub food. And so, darts and cards and whatever comes with a pub night. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good. This is where I would ask our clerk if they had anything to add, but you don't have any announcements. Excellent. Okay, so clerk, your advice. Should I pause here and then come back and do bylaws after we do 9.1 and 9.2? I would. Yes. Okay, with that, we are going to take a pause. It's 3:54. The public meeting will start. We'll probably go live at 3:40 so that we're ready to go at 3:45 and can start the public portion of the meeting. Sorry, 4:45, so less than an hour away. Thank you for that correction, folks. And welcome back to the Township of Whitewater Region's regular council meeting for Wednesday, January 14th. It is now 4:44 p.m. and we're going to just call ourselves back into order. We had a recess. Today is a bit of a convoluted agenda just because we have included a public meeting. And what we had done before when we started the meeting at 3 p.m. is that we went through all the possible agenda items that could be addressed before 4:45, which is our scheduled commencement of our public meeting. And we're going to come back to that now. So this point, we're going to do item 6.1 on the agenda, which is a public meeting. And to remind those folks that might be watching, a public meeting is a requirement under the Planning Act. We insert it as its own meeting within our regular council meeting. Therefore, we'll be calling the public meeting to order here at 4:45 p.m. And it's to hear comments and receive information from the public regarding two proposed applications to amend the Township of Whitewater Region zoning bylaw in accordance with the Planning Act. The motions with respect to these two applications are posted in the report section at 9.1 and 9.2, but they will not be discussed until after the public meeting has been completed and we received any and all feedback from the public on these two applications. At this point in time, I will hand the public meeting over to our planner, Mr. Baird.
So as per the Planning Act, if any person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Whitewater Region before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of council of the Township of Whitewater Region to the Ontario Land Tribunal. The person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. Under Section 34, subsection 11 of the Planning Act, if council decides to refuse an application or refuses or neglects to make a decision on an application within 120 days of the municipal clerk receiving the application, the applicant or the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing may appeal to the tribunal by filing an appeal with the clerk of the municipality. Section 34, subsection 19 of the Planning Act states that not later than 20 days after giving of notice of passing of the bylaw, the applicant, any person or public body who made oral submissions at the public meeting or made a written submission to council before the bylaw was passed, or the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal by filing an appeal with the clerk of the municipality.
Excellent. Thank you for the fine print, planner. And important aspects. And if there are questions about that, the public, we please encourage you to speak with the planner. He and other members of the staff can give you the detail on what that might mean in your specific circumstance. So with that, we're going to move on to the first of our two zoning amendment applications. The first one is zoning amendment D14-218, and the address in question is 622 Olmstead-Jeffrey Lake Road. And I'll ask the planner to give us an overview of the proposal.
So the present application has been submitted by JP2G Consultants on behalf of Donald Parsons for the property known as 622 Westmeath Road. The purpose of the application is to seek a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone portions of the lands from rural to three site-specific zones, being a rural exemption 79, rural exemption 70, rural exemption 80, and rural exemption 81 zoning. At the October 16, 2025 Committee of Adjustment meeting, consents D10-245 and D10-246 were approved for two new lot creations on the property. Condition of the approved consent was that the property owner undergo a zoning bylaw amendment in order to establish rear yard setbacks to protect nearby natural heritage features, as was recommended in the environmental impact study prepared for the property. The present application is to fulfill those conditions. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment is consistent with the Provincial Planning Statement 2024. Section 4.1, subsection 8 of the PPS prohibits development or site alteration on lands adjacent to natural heritage features. including in this case provincially significant wetlands, unless it has been demonstrated that there will be no negative impacts on the wetland and/or the ecological functions of the wetland. The applicant underwent an environmental impact study, as noted before, that found within the development constraints being imposed by the zoning bylaw amendment and the identified building area, there would be no negative impacts. The official.
Sorry, planner, just to interrupt before you mark your spot there, don't lose it. Which, we just want to make sure we get the map up while you're talking. It's the Olmstead-Jeffrey map, right? Or this one?
This is the correct map.
Perfect, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought I'd said
622 Olmstead-Jeffrey.
Yeah, the script has it.
The agenda order
was
this
was
way.
mixed up. Okay, so just to clarify then,
Yes.
sorry, thank you for, let's stop that, is the zoning amendment that we're talking about is D14-217.
216.
That's per this.
Okay, 216. So we are talking about D14-216 at 622 Westmeath Road. Okay, good. Good, we've corrected that. Please continue.
Under the County of Renfrew official plan, the lands are designated rural, which encourages low-density residential development. The lot size meets the encouraged 4,000 square meter minimum lot size recommended in that section. The official plan, section 8.3, subsection 5B, requires development adjacent to a provincially significant wetland undergo an environmental impact study to demonstrate no negative impacts on the natural features or ecological functions of the land. As noted, the applicant has undertaken this study, and within the recommended building area, as will be marked by the zoning bylaw amendment, there are no anticipated negative impacts. There were other recommendations made in the environmental impact study to ensure that no negative impacts will occur, and those will be enforced through a development agreement. That was another required condition of the approved consent. The town zoning bylaw, the property is zoned rural and environmental protection. The rural zoning allows for residential uses. The location of the proposed lots or of the proposed building envelope is entirely within the rural designation. The environmental protection is not anticipated to be impacted. The required rear yard setback in the rural zone is typically 7.5 meters. However, in order to minimize those negative impacts and ensure ecological functions remain intact, the zoning bylaw amendment is proposing a significantly reduced rear yard setback on the lots. For the Committee of Adjustment meeting, that point was to be set 100 meters from the front lot line on the property as demonstrated on the map. So the purple line on the two lots denotes where the rear yard setback would be located, and on the third lot it would be the yellow line. In this case, one of the lots being zoned to the rural exemption 79 zoning would maintain that 100-meter setback. The second lot, which is the rural exemption 80, would be an 80-meter line. And the third lot, which is the rural exemption 81, would be an 80-meter setback and a 30-meter setback from the water course on the property. All of these in order to maintain those ecological functions. While these aren't exactly what was proposed at the Committee of Adjustment, the proposed differences are more restrictive than what was initially proposed, so the township is still supportive of these setbacks. So the application complies with and meets all the requirements of the provincial planning statement, County of Renfrew official plan, and meets the intent of the Township of Whitewater Region zoning bylaw. Thus, it is planning's recommendation that the application be approved. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, planner. So first off, we want to confirm if the applicant would like to speak on the behalf of their application. We understand that the applicant has JP2G hired to act in their position, and we have them present today. So I'll just confirm, would you like to speak on behalf of the applicant? None. Okay, excellent. Next item is any comments from the public And I'll look over to the clerk and to Sean. Anybody logged in to speak on behalf of this?
No comments.
No comments received? Perfect. And the last question goes back to our planner. Did we receive any comments or questions from members of the public in writing to you before the meeting?
We have not received any correspondence from the public.
Excellent. And final is just council acknowledging that we will still have this as a resolution later on after the public meeting. But at this point in time, is there any questions you'd like to ask the planner with respect to the file? Good. I see none. So we will have deemed all public comments received in accordance with a zoning amendment application D14-216 at 622 Westmeath Road. And with that, I'll ask the planner to carry on to the next zoning amendment proposal, D14-217, Ross Concession 4N, Part Lot 21, RP 49R 20880, Part 1, Olmstead-Jeffrey Lake Road.
Thank you, through your worship. So the present zoning bylaw amendment application was submitted by R. Bruce Leech on behalf of Wade Patterson for the property. The purpose of the application is to seek a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone portions of the land from the rural RU zoning to a site-specific rural exemption 82 zone. At the August 15th, 2024 Committee of Adjustment meeting, consent D-10-238 was approved for one new lot creation on this property. A condition of the approved consent was that the owner undergo a zoning bylaw amendment in order to reduce the required setback from an extractive industrial reserve, sand and gravel, EMR-SG zone from 300 meters to 0 meters. The zoning bylaw amendment is to fulfill that condition. So the provincial planning statement outlines that mineral aggregate resources shall be protected for long-term use. However, development on known deposits on aggregate resources and adjacent lands, which would preclude or hinder the establishment of new operations or access to resources, may be permitted if the resource use is not feasible. Under the county official plan, the property is designated as rural, which supports low-density residential use. The current property, both the severed and retained lands, are adjacent to lands designated mineral aggregate in the official plan. And implementing the provincial planning statement policy, the OP requires that proposed development in or within 300 meters of an area designated for future extraction must be supported by a favorable mineral aggregate impact study that confirms development will not preclude or hinder future aggregate extraction. In support of this requirement, with the consent application, a land use compatibility and aggregate impact study were prepared for the consent application. The report concluded that the adjacent lands have limited to no potential of being developed for future aggregate extraction, primarily due to the proximity of the lake and the existing residential uses along said lake. In other words, the proposed severance is not anticipated to have an impact on future sand and gravel extraction, as the potential has already been reduced by long-standing existing development, so the consent would not impact the ability to extract. In the Township of Whitewater Region zoning bylaw, the severed and retained parcels are both zoned rural. The rural zone permits a single detached dwelling with a minimum lot area of 4,000 square meters and a minimum frontage of 45 meters. The proposed lot meets the provisions of the rural zoning. Section 3.32 BIV of the zoning bylaw requires a 300-meter separation distance between land zoned EMR-SG and new residential development. As the severed lands are adjacent to the property with the EMR. As the severed lands are within 300 meters of the EMR-SG zone, however, the study has found that there is limited potential for those lands to be extracted. The condition of consent was that the severed lands be placed in a rural exemption zone to reduce the separation distance requirements and thus bring the lot into compliance with the zoning bylaw. the application complies with and meets all the requirements of the PPS, the County of Renfrew official plan, and meets the intent of the Township of Whitewater Region zoning bylaw, and thus it is planning's opinion that this application be approved.
Excellent, thank you, planner. And with that, we will confirm if the applicant is present, I'm assuming virtual, if they would like to speak on behalf of their application. I'm getting confirmation that no, the applicant is not present. And with that, I'll ask the clerk and Sean, is there anybody that would like to make public comment? Virtually? Good. So no comments from the public. And the last one back out to the planner. Did you receive any comments prior to the meeting in writing or verbally?
To the best of my knowledge, we've received no written correspondence on the application.
Excellent. And with that, I'll ask council, is there any points that you wish to bring up? Feedback from other community members? None? I have one question for the planner.
Yes.
And when I was going through the map and you were talking about the extraction zone, it made me think of the lands set aside for the future twinning of the 417. And could you place this property in relation to those lands which are designated for that future twinning?
I can. I would just need to bring up the
Absolutely.
official plan.
Take a few
mapping.
minutes.
Just one moment.
This was part of the survey plans from 50 years ago,
I can swap,
70 years ago. So further down magnesium, between there and the mine site.
Yeah, I think was there reference to it there? sir?
Yes. Sorry. In the previous consent report, the MTO was circulated on the application, and they had no formal comments on the time and no concerns at the time. And then they have not provided any comments since, and they were recirculated. Them and the Ministry of Energy and Mines were both recirculated on the zoning, and we did not receive comment.
Perfect.
And in response to the question of where it will be located, it's the proposed realignment of Highway 17 is directly between this Magnesium Road, like right in the middle of, it's going to come up right through the middle of this green line and black line on your screen, and just follows the backside of Olmstead-Jeffrey Lake. Does that help?
It would be over the subject lands, but not over the proposed consent.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, and it's just interesting, I wanted to make sure that I could appreciate why there wasn't further expansion of other properties in that area, and it makes sense now. Yeah, okay, good. Thank you for taking the time to just confirm that, I appreciate it. Any other comments from council or questions? Good, and any final comments from planner on either of these two proposed applications?
I have no further comments. Thank you.
Excellent. And with that, we will adjourn the public meeting at 5:03 p.m. Having received all the public comment relating to these two applications and duly considered it, we will now go to item 9.1 in our report, which is the actual zoning bylaw amendment, D14-216, at 622 Westmeath Road. The recommendation is that the council of the Township of Whitewater Region approve an amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 24-01-1655 for portions of the property known as 622 Westmeath Road from the rural zoning to 3 site-specific zonings, those being the rural exception 79, rural exception 80, and rural exception 81 zoning. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Trim, seconded by Councillor Bell. We have just heard the presentation from the planner as part of the public meeting, so I will not ask the planner to repeat his presentation of this file, unless there is a member of council who would really like the planner to repeat what he just said. None? Good. Is there any, sorry, I'll go just to confirm formally. Councillor Trim is the mover. Any points or questions you want to raise? Good. And the seconder is Councillor Bell? Good. Anything else from other members of council? With that, we will call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Carried. 1 for 1, planner. Next item is 9.2, which is a zoning bylaw amendment, D14-217. Applicant is Patterson for Olmstead-Jeffrey Lake Road. The recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approve an amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 24-01-1655 for portions of the property known as Ross Concession 4 North, Part Lot 21, RP 49R 20880, Part 1, Olmstead-Jeffrey Lake Road, from the rural zoning to a site-specific rural exception 82 zoning. A mover and a seconder, please. Mover, Councillor Trim, seconded by Deputy Mayor. And again, I will not ask the planner to repeat his presentation, and I'll simply go to the mover, which is Councillor Trim. Any additional comments or points? None. And the seconder, Deputy Mayor? None. Any from anything else from council? I see none. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you so much. Good. And with that, we are going to skip the items that we have previously discussed and made decisions on at council. And we are going to item number 13 on the agenda, which is our bylaws. We have a number of bylaws listed on this agenda, January 14th agenda. I am counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 bylaws plus the confirmatory bylaw. The recommendation, be it resolved that the bylaws listed on the January 14th agenda be taken as read and passed. I need a mover, please. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor White. This is the final opportunity for council to make comment or question the proposed bylaws listed on this agenda. Is there anything not from our mover? No, not from our seconder, and not from anyone else? With that, we will call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. And I can confirm there is no closed session. Unless the clerk. No, clerk said no. Item 15 on the agenda is, I'm going to take as a misprint. Can I do that, clerk? Because that can't take place until the confirmatory, until that procedural bylaw was amended. Okay, so 15 is voided, which takes us to item number 16, which is the adjournment, and we are adjourned at 5:07 p.m. Thank you so much for all your time today.